Now let's get straight down to it, Liam and John. It was very easy seeing the crowd at the weekend anyway. Were they the only crowd at the matches?
We were one of a few.
Yeah. Liam, are you surprised before we start about, because a lot of comments have come in this evening, and funnily enough, not too many of them actually about the football, a few about refereeing decisions, and we'll chat about that. But the crowds, the numbers, the easiness to get parking, all the things that you wouldn't associate with a quarter-final, would you?
Yeah, and I suppose, look, I know we're looking at a Kerry down here, but we were watching the Tipperary county final, and they had already 5,000 at a county final as well, a hurling final, which is, I suppose it's across the country. Donal, it's not really down here. I do think we have a problem with the product. I think the product of football itself, the way the football is being played, people are kind of voting on their feet, and they're not showing a massive interest in it. And I think a lot of things will have to be looked at, at a higher, not blaming the Kerry County Board or anything down here, but at a higher level, football at inter-county level and at club level. It's a hard watch, because look, the club manager wants to do what he's looking at. The senior county championships, and he's looking at inter-county, and we seem to be all doing the same now. So I think there has to be a couple of tweaks and rules and stuff like that to turn it back into a game of football again. Mm-hmm.
John, go back maybe 6 or 7 weeks, we were in the club championships, and the club games were hosting games at home, and you had the neutral game, the whole lot. There seemed to be a huge draw to the club games as such. The county championship seems to have lost that. Yeah, definitely, Donal, it has, and I'd agree with Liam there totally. I mean, there was other clubs going to see some of the clubs playing in the club championship, and people coming from outside, from West Limerick and North Cork even. There's we felt that when they came to the quarterfinals, the people would be back for the quarterfinals. It didn't happen the weekend, and as you said, getting parking. There's no atmosphere at the games. Yeah. It's just lacking atmosphere. Nothing to do with the players or the management teams or anything like that. They're preparing well for it. But like Liam said, it is the product. Like it's a negative game now. Yeah. It's getting men back. It's stopping the opposition playing, and it's winning at all costs. But I think they're suffering, and it's not happening at the club level as much. Because some of the clubs they're going for it. They're playing direct football, and you can see the likes of the Fosses, look, the Listowel Limits, the Ballymacks, the Renards and the Talbots that are all in. Like, they've all come through, but they're playing direct football, and the crowds are following it. There's high scores. How good is the standard? People go to see games with scores, whatever game it is. But like it's something that has to be looked at. And like Liam said, looking at some of the attendances around the country the weekend, it's a common denominator. People they're not going to the games. Is the cost prohibitive? Is the year too long? It all has to be looked at, and I think it's disappointing. It's our premier competition, and it's disappointing. The crowds aren't there, and to be fair, some of the games, it's very easy to analyse them. They're not good. Yeah, don't say that, because there's North of Field before. Sure, there were very good games, and there were loads of analysts going on, and we'll plenty to talk about. Before we move on, the cost of living, and obviously you're working out there in the community as well, and everybody hears it day and night, and the budget, and people are talking about, did I get extra €6 or €8 or €10? Diesel going through the roof, everything's getting more expensive and a whole lot. It has to have some sort of impact on somebody deciding, am I going to travel 40 miles to a match? Yesterday it was €15 to go in for the double header. 3-4 people. Now, I'd imagine the vast majority of people who were there yesterday had their cards and their pass cards and the whole lot to get through. But is Jay finally seeing this now happening to us as such?
You'd wonder, Donal, to be honest. And I suppose, look, like John said, we are coming off a very hectic inter-county season, into club, and you'll always have the genuine club fellow will always follow the club, and then you're coming into the county championship. There's probably a war from it, as well as the pocket being hurted. So yeah, it would have a big cost in it. And I think, look, they'll probably have to look at maybe 2 double headers. I thought maybe that was a mistake the weekend. Probably the 2 games should have been Saturday and Sunday, 2 double headers. But look, it's people are voting with their feet. I don't think we can blame East Kerry for it. Everyone's saying that East Kerry are going to walk away from it and all this kind of stuff. But it's something that the GA will have to look at. But like I said, at higher level, we can be. I don't think the county board can. But I just think that we need to improve the rules of our game to make it back into football again, because we've gone to game. We went into county games this year and we were scratching our head coming out of them, you know, and you'll be saying, geez, do I have to go and watch that again? But it's a hard watch, and that's us, because we go and we have to analyse it. So you can imagine if you were the Army supporter and you were saying, I might stay at home now and watch it on television. Streaming probably has a disadvantage as well for it.
It's all John Kennedy's fault.
Yeah, probably not helping. No, it's just as easy, you know, to pay your fee and watch on television and sit down and sit into your car and go, which is a pity.
Interesting. John, finally, before we move on about it, players, I mean, what impact does it have? Like, I remember playing games, and it didn't matter whether it was Division 3 or 4, there was a crowd at it, and if you made a block, there was a big roar. If you got a goal, there was a big roar, and if there was a bit of furore, everybody was involved in the whole lot. That atmosphere isn't there. Does that have an impact on players playing, or are players now so isolated from that world it doesn't have an impact?
I don't think it has much of an impact, but it has certainly have to have an impact on them. But I don't think it won't affect players, because their preparation, they're in that bubble, they play. But obviously, like when they go out in the field and you see sparse attendances in a big venue like Killarney, Fitzgerald Stadium or Rossensstack Park, it's certainly, you know, you'll be looking around. And I think, Donald,
it's like a challenge match.
It is, and I think if you look at it in the county league in the last number of years, like, which is a great competition in Kerry, the number of people going to the games is you'll count them in two hands, like, you know, and that's from Division 1 down. So it's something that you know, I'm not sure what can be done. Is it there's the change of attitude with people? Do they just go into the county games? You have so much to spend. You look at double bills. It's a long day. If you're going to Fitzgerald Stadium or Rossensstack Park for a double bill, it's 5 or 6 hours from the time we leave home until you come back. It's a Sunday gone or a Saturday gone. Are people prepared to give that time? And then the product they're looking at. Yeah,
and the chances are you have a son or a daughter who's playing a soccer match in the morning.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. A lot of other sports on weekends and stuff like that as well.
Plenty on drawing. Well, let's start. Let's start with the first game that we're looking at this evening: Rathmore and Spa, the all East Kerry clash. I suppose in many ways, when the draw was done, one of these teams said, "God, you know, we certainly have a chance of beating the other one." Rathmore, of course, with a better record over Spa. As it turned out, Liam, on the day, very much in charge.
It was, yeah. But you know, it was probably the one game when the draw was made here that I kind of, you know, my ears pricked a small, because I thought it was going to be, it'd be close. But to be fair to Rathmore, I suppose they went out and they do what Rathmore usually do. You know, they were solid, they were tough. Even there when Spa brought them back to the 2 points towards the end, you know, they never panicked. They held onto the ball. Next thing, there was a couple of points. Mac Ryan and John Moynihan again, you know, kicked them to 4 points ahead. You know, so Spa will be disappointed. I thought, you know, if they went, I thought they could have went after it a bit more. It was probably the last 10 minutes when they really went after it, and it was just, I suppose the loss of Paul Murphy is huge for Rathmore. The sending off, we all know about it. I suppose it'll be something that'll be sorted out in the next week or so as well. But but fair play to Rathmore. Look, they're intermediate champions after coming up to senior level, and they're in a senior county semi-final now, which is a massive feat for I won't say a small club, for a club like Rathmore.
Yeah, John, I suppose everybody said about Spa that if you could get at their kick out good and early, you'd put them under pressure, and Rathmore, particularly in the first 10 minutes of that game, they really went after the Spa kick out.
They did. They went after Donald. They had their homework done. Obviously, local derby again. They know each other inside out. And like Liam said there, Spa would have to play exceptionally well and play above themselves. And Rathmore always had that little bit in the tank. And you know, they were led by Shane Ryan and John Moynihan, kicked 9 points between them. But what will be of concern to Dennis Moynihan will be Paul Murphy's injury, which looks like a calf injury, huge loss, and then the sending off. That's going to have a huge bearing in the semi-final.
Carl Ryan was excellent around the middle of the field.
Yeah. The guys that have led them all the year, they're continuing to do that, and you know, they're very consistent. And it's hard looking on Spa, but they had a great run, but just came up that bit short with maybe, like Liam said, when the game was there in the melting pot, it may be to go at it a little bit more and take it on. But you know, that's the way football is now. You're conserving. You don't want to give too much away. You don't want to leak at the back, but you're doing that at a cost. And the team that has the lead, it's easy to keep a lead and hold possession, whereas when you have to work to get the points, it's difficult.
Mike Stamidon, of course, we mention him, Liam, all the time, a veteran of the game. His style of play, I mean, he's a 15, but he kind of has license to roam. He comes out, and I suppose he's kind of the quarterback playmaker in many senses. Rathmore didn't sit Alan Deneen behind the ball. They sent Alan Deneen down the field after him, and Alan Deneen got on
played a pile of ball. Yeah, I thought Alan Deneen and Brian Friel were excellent for Rathmore in that kind of a role. Yeah, and Stam, look, is what we said here with the last couple of weeks. He has been kind of their quarterback. You know, he's been doing something like Paul Gain. He's doing with Dingle at the moment. He goes in, he comes out, and he's hitting the passes. But yeah, overall, like I thought John Moynihan is another guy, you know, that's really standing out in this championship for Rathmore. You know. 4
points again from play the last day. Go back to Spa. I mean, look, it was a big game for them. It was a quarter final. I mean, they're senior for, I suppose, they're finding their way in the senior. They kind of had a comfortable enough club championship. I mean, they were in the semi-final. Dingle, of course, gave them a bit of a beating. They missed an awful lot of scoreable chances though, didn't they? I mean, like, when they go home and watch the video and they'll say, God, okay, we lost by 3 points, the game was over 12-6, we got a goal back out of the blue. They'll look back on the chances they missed.
They will, yeah, because when they got the goal, when Kieran Spillane got the goal, and next thing Keane Murphy got the point after, he said they're back in this. But they seem to sit back then again, you know. And like one fella said to me today, and you know, he made a good point. He said football has gone to a stage now we were better off coming in for the last 15 minutes because that's the best part of the game. And you know, that's when Spa actually went like I said, went at Rathmore. Whereas if they pushed on a bit more, but definitely I think they will regret the scoring chances.
Shane Ryan again, another massive.
We'll say about him, I suppose they'll be roaring at Jack to play him out the field again.
There is that there though. There is. I mean, that's very evident. Look, John, I suppose we know him as the goalkeeper that he is. The other side of the coin is that, look, in the last number of championships for Rathmore, he's always been out the field, he's always been scoring, and the whole lot. It's hard to know though, to be fair. Is he an inter-county out the field player, or is he just better than what's here that he's playing against? Because obviously, you know, it's another step at that level.
Yeah, he's done it at intermediate level. He's doing it at senior level now in county championship. You know, and the next step is inter-county. Has he the pace for outfield in that game? The kicking and his footballing ability is no problem, but like it's a different level. But you know when people won't know until he's tried there. If he will be, but you have to say that he's one of the best kickers in the county. You know, from the ground and from the hands, and he's good hands. So, like, it's a
massive decision, really, because goalkeeper now is such a specialised position. This fella's an all-star goalkeeper, like.
Yeah. Is it a decision that if Jack O'Connor isn't even entertaining as a decision, is it based on the fact, can he find another goalkeeper?
That's the big thing.
That's the big one, yeah.
That's the big one, yeah. Because, like, your goalkeeper now is nearly your main player on the field, because you're starting the game, and you know you have to. Cluxton got 100% this year in the All-Ireland final. That's what you're looking at, and I think Shane Ryan in the last 2 years he's been an all-star, you know. So he has been hitting them numbers, but I think it's going to be that's the big decision. I think that can we get another goalkeeper that can do what Shane Ryan has been in goals, then you can chance him out the field.
I personally don't think he will put him out the field.
I don't think so either.
I think he's matured to being the best goalkeeper in the country.
Yeah.
And that takes time. There was nights here and some of the listeners were saying, you know, he might have dropped a few balls, a few kickouts have gone astray, but 'tis a learning process. If you make a mistake in goals, there's nothing behind you.
No.
But Shane Ryan has developed into a top-class keeper. His kickouts are excellent. He's an intimidating figure for a forward going through. Yeah. He's a big man, and you know he makes the goals very small.
And I think playing outfield with Rathmore helps his goalkeepers as well, because the way the goalkeeper plays now, you have to be a kind of an outside player as well, and it kind of helps. But I think it'd be a massive decision to bring him out the field.
Another man you're building up for the last number of games, Donal Barry.
Was one of his biggest games to be a difficult hour, but he was up against
your other buddies that you're all bringing to the
exactly
team,
the two Ryans as well, like in the middle of the field. You know, so he was up in quality there as well. Now Dan, he didn't throw in the towel. He battled away, but he was ploughing a kind of a lone furrow there for a while. And when you're up against the two Ryans who were playing very good football, he was all going to be a tough evening for him.
Yeah, the Paul Murphy loss obviously is a massive worry for Rathmore, and maybe even down the line maybe as well, because Paul's having a fantastic season with the club, and particularly coming off the back of a great season for the county as well. Himself and Darragh Moynihan, people will be looking in and saying, county players, did they stand out? Will they have been happy with the games they've played so far?
I think they will overall. I think they will. You know, they're marked men, and for them to be impressing, obviously it's a huge thing, because like they're being double marked, and you know they're being pinpointed. Both of them are doing well, but Paul has been, look, even last year he's carrying on that form, and I thought he did really well with Kerry this year, because at the start of the year you'd question whether he'd be on the first 15, but he justified his selection. The injury, it sounds like, or what we think is a calf, which is a muscle. Is that the fatigue coming in, continuously playing at the level he's playing at? And does it ask about, you know, the welfare of our senior inter-county players?
Yeah,
there's no break.
He knew straight away. I mean, there was no kind of getting up off the field. Come here. I suppose. Look, we have to look at a couple of young players as well. I thought Liam Spillane for Spa was absolutely outstanding. Liam and Fionn Houlihan as well. He had to pick up Evan Cronin, which wasn't an easy ask. But for two young fellas, they done fairly well.
They did well, yeah. And you know, they're lively.
Mm-hmm.
No, and that, and I suppose youth brings that, and I think that's the way teams are kind of gone now. You know, there's fellas that can travel up and down the field. So yeah, they're two fellas that will, like I said earlier, how are we going to pick our team in the championship?
You've picked the whole East Kerry team picked, haven't you?
No, that won't be an easy team to pick this year. But look, with the likes of these fellas will be poking their heads into to being in the recognition.
They're into discussion,
anyway.
and they're in discussion based on a number of games that they've played, and they're younger names, and they're younger players, and they don't look out of depth. Finally, will Spa hurt over this defeat, the manner of defeat, or just the fact they lost?
I think both. But I suppose, look, they have what's left out O'Donoghue Cup, which is a big thing in East Kerry. Mm-hmm. They got to the final last year. There's no reason why they can't give that a good rattle this year again. Their season is not over yet. I think they need to win something to get him over the line, something like Dingle with the last couple of years. You know, Dingle went through a lot of hurt. They were losing games that they should have won. It's the opposite this year. They're winning games that they should, usually the Dingle team will lose, and Spar, something like that. They're getting to positions where they can win games, but they're not getting over the line, and they're just missing that little bit of, I suppose, experience and stuff like that. So I think, if we were managing Spar now, you'll be saying we'll give the O'Donoghue Cup and see can we get something under our belt that'll build for next year.
Yeah, and of course, in fairness to Spar, like, they're missing Mike Foley. I mean, he's injured.
A big loss,
huge loss. And of course, they're missing Liam Carney, who's playing over New York. I mean, like a couple of years ago, we were building him up as the next midfielder partner as well. So no club can go without that. Rathmore, of course, we'll talk about it. Loads of comments coming in about that coloured card at the very end. We'll discuss that after this break. Now, keep your comments coming in, and there is absolutely a load of them, as I said. The rugby took the limelight over the last few weeks. Split season has its downside. Yeah, I suppose that's quite a good comment. Donal, it's too expensive to go to matches. Yesterday was €15 to go into an LGFA Junior B final, 10 for student and OAP. Of course, there was the two finals in Mitchell's Ground yesterday. I think congratulations to Clonmacnoise and my van winning that as well. Hi Donal, it's no surprise the crowds are so small with the way Gaelic football is being played. Look at the rugby quarterfinals and the way they kept going for scores. That's Charles. Yeah, absolutely, there was far more excitement on them anyway. The type of football being played is brutal, except for the odd team. No atmosphere in Killarney. There should have been 2 double headers, and maybe the supporters would turn up. Only for the Cliffords and the Gainers, there wouldn't be anybody going to matches. I personally travel just to watch those players in action. That's Eddie Stack here in Tralee. Yeah, absolutely. I suppose the atmosphere thing is if there's no atmosphere, people, you kind of you don't even clap for a score anymore, the way things are going. Donal and Kerry J have made a big mistake by selling their coverage to streaming services. It surely has been the main reason for so few people at our games. Well, you can all see them now on Clubber. And then why was East Kerry and St. Cairns not part of a double header with Rathmore and Spa? It would have made far more sense than bringing people into Tralee on a busy shopping day with so little parking available. And I think we mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. East Kerry can't play because East Kerry's home advantage is Fitzgerald Stadium. So obviously, even though I suppose, to be fair to St. Cairns, there's a few East Kerry fellas there as well as their Liam, they travel over. Now let's discuss that game, leads on to it nicely. East Kerry and St. Cairns. John, you were at the game. In the build up to it, we were giving St. Cairns a bit of a tip here. We were saying, what we saw them, they played well in their group. They had tough games, they dug out good results, they played well, and then they got the wind in the first half, and you were saying, God, okay, maybe this is it. And Ollie scored a point after 7 seconds. Paul Walsh got a point after 30 odd seconds. It looked like it was going to be a fantastic game, but wasn't that way.
No, it just, like as we said, we thought that the Cairns would give them the test. Look, well, Paul Welsh kicked a super point from the Terrace side, and things look good, but East Kerry, their squad, the players they have, first of all the 15 that started, but the lads they can bring in, and the team ethic that they have, and they work great for one another, and the unselfish play. They look up, they give the ball, their decision making is excellent. And then you have the two Cliffords. David got a wonder goal, a great pass on Darragh Roach, but most players in the country would tap it over the bar, but David is not the ordinary player, so he hit a rifle to the net. And the subs they brought on, Matt Riney, Emmett O'Shea got 1-1 when he came on, Luke Crowley did well. They're the team to beat. Obviously, but I think it's their composure. Like when Cairns ran at them, they had bodies back, they turned them over, and they punished above. And they're a very well coached team. They have some great individuals, and they're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah. That said, Cairns, I mean, they did get up the field quite regularly. They seem to go for goals an awful lot, or took goal chances. Does that happen when you're chasing a game? Whereas you would have said maybe, if they kept tagging over the scoreboard, they'd get up to 13 points, 14 points, 15 points. Or at that stage of the game, as a player, John, are you seeing the scoreboard and you're 8 points down, 10 points down, you have a half chance of a goal, you want the big major?
You go for it. And they were unlucky. They had, Brian Kelly brought off there was a few dangerous balls going in that he dealt with very well. There was last gasp defending inside that saved them. They didn't get those scores. They needed to get the
when
goals.
You're an underdog, you need to be getting them scores.
When you need. And then the frustrating thing was then they didn't score above, and East Kerry came up the field and kicked over the point or got the goal, and Donal O'Sullivan came into there, he got 3 great points. Darragh Roach was impressive. Paddy was back orchestrating stuff. Patrick Casey got a goal, or Patrick Darcy got a goal, and then Emmett O'Shea comes on and gets 1-1. But the Cairns never give up. I'd have to say that they ran the bench. The Horns there, Morrissey wing back, got 3 points. But I think up front, they were snuffed out. The East Kerry defence didn't allow them those easy chances. They had to work really hard for the scores they got.
Interesting you mentioned defence, because some of the players, I suppose we mentioned all the big names, the marquee names, but can we talk about Kieran Murphy? Kilcummin. I mean, I thought him that, he had a massive game.
He was an athlete.
Yeah, but he, for a guy that was playing so well with Kilcummin, got injured before they played their knockout game against Milltown, to get himself back fit again. But there must be a lot of credit in the locker room with Jerry Sullivan, because he didn't put him on the bench, he put him straight into the middle of the field. And he performed really, really well there. Yeah. Look,
Kieran for years has been a standout player for Kilcummin, and even for East Kerry before Kilcummin went out their own and stuff like that. So Kieran, but it just shows the strength and depth that East Kerry have, to know that you can have Matt Riney, who had played very well in the games leading up to it, that Kieran steps in there, and the same Emmett O'Shea started on the bench, and there seem to be guys that they don't moan, or they just get on with it. Emmett came off the bench and he got his scores. Kieran, Matt Riney came on, unfortunately picked up an injury and had to go off again. But look, I think just East Kerry have the defence that can snuff out a lot of the good forwards in the other team. Like Kieran's, they snuffed out Paul Welch really, Donal Barry, they were the two. Actually, Paul Welch was top scorer coming into the competition.
Right.
And they knew they can target things like that, and then they have quality.
And again, a name of a player that we don't mention a whole lot, Derek Callahan. He'll come in. I mean, he picked him up for the most part.
Exactly.
And then you throw Keane Lynch in on the other side, Glenn Flesk, an outstanding game as well. And these are fellas that we don't mention. And I mean, obviously in front of them you have Jack Sherwood, who's closing the door as well. So you have massive experience, but they are bringing youth through as well.
Oh, they are, And if you look at even East Kerry down through the years at minor level and under 20 level, they've been very strong. And Jerry is not afraid to throw these fellas in. And I suppose when you have guys like that, you have the luxury of putting these fellas, because they're good footballers. And the one thing with East Kerry, they're like a club team.
That's right.
And I suppose being playing the college football and being playing up along all from minor all the ways together, they know each other inside out compared to other district teams, and I think that stands them as well.
Keane Gamble at wing back as well.
Gamble, yeah.
You know, he was available when they got possession. He broke the tackle and went up, and you know, as you said, like Ronan Buckley and Kieran Murphy in the middle of the field, they're two good midfielders. They have great engines, and they don't give it away, Liam, either.
And another fellow who I think has a great champion, Patrick Darcy.
Patrick Darcy, yeah. Got to go the last day as well. The work rate of them, and they're really unselfish. Yeah. They don't take on from outside the zone. They pass it off to the man in the better position, and they work the opening for the score.
Exactly. Look, they're the measuring stick for everyone out there, and it goes back to their clubs as well. The work that the clubs are doing, you know, at county league level and at intermediate level and stuff like that. And it's very easy then to pick out your best players out of each club. Then.
Right. How well do you know your districts?
Oh, another pop quiz.
I have to keep you on your toes, to be fair. East Kerry, what they scored last day? 419?
419.
When was the last time somebody scored 4 goals against Cairns? Well, lads, Jesus, don't let me down tonight, please.
Jesus.
Good question.
That's a good question.
It is a good question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, no answer to me. It happened last year. What team put 4 goals past St. Cairns last year? You're the St. Cairns man, so I'll leave you alone. It's a good question, isn't it? Would I say Knocknagoshel, or would I say...
I started the last game of the championship.
The last game of the championship last year, it was 4-10 to 114. Shannon Rangers won it.
Tarbert.
And you saying Shannon Rangers weren't good. They won the game. Let's go back and have a bit of fun with East Kerry. The score was massive, 419.
Yeah.
When was the last time they scored bigger than that? Can you remember? You'd imagine they do it regular enough, wouldn't you? But they actually don't. They don't score that heavy.
No.
The last time they scored that heavy, they beat Dingle with 6-15. And they beat them 2-10 in round 2A against Dingle, okay? What did Dingle do to them in the reverse fixture? God almighty, lads, don't be so silent. Silence, The reverse fixture went to a draw, and the game was a replay. And there was a bit of argy-bargy in the whole thing. And who won the game?
East Kerry.
No, Dingle. Good man, John.
What was that?
Yeah. That's a couple of years ago when East Kerry were just getting on the scene at the time and they needed the push. Funny enough, the goals that were scored in the 6-15, who scored them? David Clifford got 2, Darragh Roach got 2, Evan Cronin got 1, and fair play to Noel Duggan from Kilcoman, he got 1 as well. Okay. But we're talking about the same players, is the point I'm making. David Clifford, Darragh Roach, they're still performing at a huge level for them, and they're carrying them through, and they're bringing new players through. Finally, for St. Cairns, will they be disappointed, or did they give it the best go? I mean, if you're looking at the book at the end of the year, they performed fairly well. They got a couple of results. They got out of the group this time last year. They were losing to Shannon Rangers 4-10 to 114. They're certainly moving a step forward. And the other thing a guy said to me at the start of the week as well is that all the district clubs that are going through, the amount of district clubs that have a lot of intermediate players playing at a very high level. Yeah. St. Cairns only had 5 yesterday. Yeah. So I mean, a third of their players. Of course, the other thing before we go about that game, what was unusual about the game yesterday, particularly the St. Cairns Thinking Brothers?
The Horns and
the Hickeys.
Yes. Well,
and the McKelligets.
The McKelligets, yeah. The McKelligets are twins.
They're twins, that's right.
And the Horns are twins. And for one stage yesterday, when was it Cahill McKelliget came on, you had 4 twins on the field. Fairly amazing.
All Ireland school winners with St. Pat's.
That's right.
There we go. Fantastic. Yeah. Now we're really flying. Right, game 3, Nagale and Mid Kerry. God almighty, this game, I suppose, threatened to be over, John, in about 10-15 minutes. I mean, at the rate Mid Kerry were going. We've been slagging off Mid Kerry, John, in a number of games, saying that they weren't lethal enough. They were leaving a lot of chances behind. They had a lot of wides. Their play, while it was admirable, you know, they weren't finishing it. The movement wasn't great. For the first 15 minutes yesterday, they were a super team. Yeah, well, we've said it for a bit here, like, you know, Mid Kerry, East Kerry and Dingle, they seem to be a bit ahead of the rest. Mid Kerry weren't firing. With the players they have, we felt here, and you know, speaking to some of the Mid Kerry people at some of the games, like,
they're not firing in all cylinders, but they're still winning. And I think we got a glimpse at the weekend of what they have,
what they can do,
and what they can do is right. And I think there's more in them. And when you look at forwards like Ian O'Connell, Liam Carey, like, and you look at like Mike Breen, you know, these are players that have played at the highest level, and it's only a matter of time before that will click. And I think the longer they're going on in the championship, the better they're getting. They're in the semi-final. You know, they'll fancy their chances because it's an upward curve. And I think that they're blending well. And you know, we gave Nigel, you know, an outside chance of you know, having a go, and they were well beaten. After a great campaign. And
of course they have to face into the relegation playoff with Rahalees, I suppose, in that. Liam, midfield is where all battles are in the old days won or lost. Maybe it's not as strong as they were. When your midfield partnership scores 6 points for you, Gavin Horn scored 3 and Sean O'Brien scored 3 from play, fantastic scores as well, not really kind of little tippy ones over the bar either. That says a lot for their intent that they're going to be able to win a significant amount of ball going forward in midfield.
Yeah, and to win a county championship, and we've said it here, they're going to have to score. No, the team, and that's why Dingle and East Kerry are where they are at the moment. Dingle put up 20 points again the weekend. So the 3 teams that we think that are really the favourites, no offence to Rathmahore, but these you need forward power, and them 3 teams have it. Mid Kerry had it yesterday for 15 minutes at the start, like you said. They'll need it for more than 15 minutes if they are going to try to win this title. Nagale probably yesterday without, I thought, Tommaso Hanifin.
A big loss.
Big loss. Yeah. So he had a good championship. He was showing there. He a good, strong young fella at number 11. Was a huge loss to him. But yeah, look, Mid Kerry deserving so the plaudits. 119, good scoring. But I'd like to see a bit like they need to more than 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, to be fair to them, the only time they kind of fell apart was Mike Breen's black card. If any time a black card was quite significant, Mike Breen goes off the field and Nagale get 1-3. They get a foothold. They get back into it. John, you're in the match. You're the manager. You're standing on the sideline, and when you see Gavin Horn fist the ball over the bar after 60 minutes, you're 1-8 to 1 point down. What goes on at that stage on the sideline with selectors? You're looking at the best team, obviously, that you put out on the field. And look, to be fair, I mean, at that stage, Mid Kerry were walking over. They had a great pace to the game as well, Mid Kerry. They kept the tempo very, very high. And of course, all the ball work was beautiful. But what goes on at the sideline at that stage?
Like, you have your best laid plans and you're ready for it. Your matchups done, and all of a sudden you're 8 or 9 points down. Everything is abandoned then. You just have to dig deep, get the scores. Like you said, Mike Breen getting the black, getting 1-3. That gave them a platform, because, you know, they have a kind of a you know, the critics will say, or the people that said, look, they were in relegation, to be relegated from the senior club. They've confounded their critics this year with their displays. They've played exceptionally well. I suppose beating the Crokes above in
huge result.
Killeen was a huge result. You know, they knocked Crokes out of the championship, and this is a tremendous. You know, they're on an upper curve. We have said for a bit here that getting scores has been a problem for them. You know, maybe Dara Carmody, one of their top scorers in America, you know, players like that. Dan Goggin has had injuries. They needed a go-to player above. You know, around the middle of the field and the backs, they have a great structure, but finding it difficult. But they hit Mid Kerry on a day when just they were on fire from the very start. It was an uphill battle then, and it was a kind of just a damaged limitations after that. And you know, that lead, that was a great cushion to get. But they didn't die down. They stayed working, and Thomas Hannafin was a huge loss.
But like, you look at that Mid Kerry team, Donal, like, they're unreal footballers when you look at the programme, and the subs they just brought on yesterday: Liam Carey, Keith Evans, Dara Cleary, Calvin Tehan and Garrod Hassett. Like, they would probably get on any team in the county. You know, these guys, so they have the players. And when you're facing into a team, I suppose when you're in a Gale and you're looking at players like that, you know that you're going to be up against it. And things didn't probably fall the right way for the Gale. And you know, you're kind of you're ploughing a lone furrow for a while then as well when they start putting scores over the bar. But at one stage it was 110 to 1-5, and you thought there's a bit of light here at the end of the tunnel, but it didn't last for a whole long. Kerry just stepped on the gears again and off they went.
It's remarkable. With the question I was going, I mean, it was 1-8 to a point. What do you do within 12 minutes to that, you're down to 5, you're going back into the dressing room, you're only 5 points down, you have your good team talking the whole lot. But I want to add on to what Liam is saying, the subs that came off the bench. I mean, Fiachra Clifford was flying for him.
Yeah. To know, and had 3 points. Yeah, and to know, I suppose like he's been starting a lot of games, and he came off the bench, and he was, and same with Darragh Cleary, and so like we said, they have the players, but can they gel it together on the big occasion? Can they? But to beat East Kerry, they're going to have to be scoring 119, 120 and stuff like that, because East Kerry are going to put that score up. No, so that's the way I'm looking at it, that they'll have to, it's going to have to be a shootout. Yeah. You can't go out and you try to defend against it, and I think they did that last year in the county final a small bit. They tried to defend against East Kerry. You can do a certain amount of it, but you have to put the ball over the bar at the end. You have to try to win the game, and they have the players that can do that. So hopefully going forward, but I think that's going to be a great semi-final between Dingle and themselves on Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about
it'll have to be their best performance of the year, though.
It will, yeah. It will, yeah.
It'll have to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick word in the Gael, John. They now face into the relegation playoff. That was quite likely it was happening, but they starved it off for as long as they could. Are they going into it in a better place than Rahalees? Or the fact that Rahalees haven't played in a while, they had that game against Spawn, the whole lot. Or is it just a relegation playoff that you just don't know what happens in the day?
It's a relegation playoff, but I think their form and their performance in the championship, were surprised a lot of people, and I think it'll be a different game. That relegation game, form goes out the window. This is about survival, but one would have to ask the question then, when both teams, the way they've played in different games, do they deserve to go down?
Yeah.
And are you improving the standard by bringing somebody else up and relegating one of these teams? That's the debate that's going on. Should there be more club teams in the championship? These are the questions that are being asked at the moment.
Well, the reality of that answer is quite simple. Rathmore came up there in the county semi-final.
That's right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the teams that are coming up are at the level. I mean, all the teams that have come up in recent years have survived. And the Gael were one of those teams. They got to the quarterfinals. Spar came up there in the quarter. So the teams that are coming up seem to be.
Well, it says about, we've said it here several times, the standard in all competitions, particularly intermediate, and seeing it like it's there's very little between them, and Rathmore have adjusted
and proved that,
and have proved it,
and plus they have done it with junior level up to
absolutely, yeah. That's the thing, yeah.
And despite Liam Brosnan writing Rathmore off, I still think they can win the county championship. We'll take a quick break. Donal, 3 Kilconan players on the starting 15 for East Kerry. Things are hugely positive. Darragh O'Callaghan, Chris O'Leary and Kieran Murphy, and of course all 3 of them played very, very well as well. Let's discuss the Dingle game first before we have a couple more comments on the structure of the championship and the whole lot. Dingle and Templenoe, strange enough, Templenoe in games they've played over recent times had kind of the Indian sign on them, and they had a couple of wins against the head, I suppose. But in reality, John, this was county championship, and Dingle are a different gravy.
Yeah, Dingle, we've said it all along, Liam has said they're a different Dingle team this year. I think winning the silverware in the club has really given them an extra drive. They're one of the favourites for the championship, along with East Kerry, and they're ruthless. Their structure is very good. The football they play, and their leaders, particularly Paul Gain and Tom O'Sullivan. All the gain is, I suppose, Conor Flannery, he was marshalling the troops inside in the backs the last day exceptionally well. Billy Connor and Mark O'Connor around the middle of the field.
Let's talk about Billy O'Connor. If you have 2 men midfield, one Mark O'Connor, one Billy O'Connor, surely in no man's field you should be talking about Billy O'Connor, but the amount of ball he played, the amount of possession he won, the amount of ball he turned over,
his work rate is incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
Incredible, and their level of fitness is incredible, Donald, to be fair. They're don't to jinx them by saying it, very few injuries after tough campaigns, but Billy is really, he's a box-to-box player, and he doesn't try anything fancy, but he's there, he's covering back in defence, he's available in the attack, and he's a vital cog in that wheel. But Paul Gain, his influences, he's playing exceptional football, he's a leader in every sense, and when things are not going well, Paul is there he's the go-to man. It's easy to play well when things are going well and when you're 10 points up, but and all the gain is, Dylan and Connor kicked 5 points the last day again.
Again, he's kicked 13 points.
13 points, yeah. But they're kicking with confidence, and they're kicking not from outside the zone. You never see a bad wide from Dingle this year. They're inside the zone, they know their area, and they kick. And most of the time there's a score. Yeah,
Liam, Templenoe, to be fair to them, are a very organised outfit. I mean, they have a sprinkling of what I would say quality players, but through the team, they have this kind of, I suppose, structure or organisation and all that. They missed Adrian Spillane. I mean,
time, yeah.
That's a big ask and a big loss when you have your man in the middle of the field and he's missing. And they survived for a while. And then I suppose much like, Nagale, they got the goal, they got back in it, but Dingle just put on
the burners in again and took off. Yeah, look, when Stephen O'Sullivan hit the net, I think it was 1-7 to 9 points in at that stage. So they were kind of asking Dingle questions, and Killian had his shooting boots on as well. He kicked 2 fantastic points, from one off the left and one off the right. But Timperlow were very competitive in the first half, but like we said, Dingle seemed to up the gears then a bit, and they have the players that can do that. I suppose Patrick Clifford's injury as well was kind of a hamper for Timperlow, but overall Dingle were worthy winners on that.
An 8-point win, deserving?
I think so. Yeah.
John, we have the 4. Rathmore probably the surprise, but I suppose the way the draw felt, it was either Rathmore or Spa were going to be there. No surprises with the rest, obviously.
No.
And then the semi-final draw last night, and I suppose Rathmore had their fingers crossed to get anybody bar their neighbours possibly, and they get their neighbours.
Yeah, like the neutrals would be looking for maybe a Nice Kerry Dingle final if they got it, and it's a tough one for Rathmore first of all against East Kerry, particularly with the injuries. If they had a full deck, it would be a different story. But I'm not saying they're hugely competitive. They have their system. Their defensive structure is very good, and will need to be against East Kerry, but they don't have the strength and depth that East Kerry have. The players that have to come off the bench, it's incredible really. And they're all adding to it. They're not just coming in to make up numbers, they're adding to it. Dingle Mid Kerry, this is the acid test for Mid Kerry. Dingle will be favourites again, and Mid Kerry will have to play their best game of the championship to beat them, because this is an in-form team playing with confidence, and very well organised, great structure, playing good football, know how to defend, know how to hold possession, but have the scoring power as well.
Mid Kerry, of course, Liam, look, I mean, they're a team that we discuss as if they're just on the new kids on the block, but they aren't. Should have been in 2 finals in the last 3 years. Again, losing, I suppose, to East Kerry, which any team possibly would have.
Yeah.
Is there learnings in that for them?
I think there is, without a doubt. A lot of them, like you said, a lot of them have been in the final the last couple of years. So there is, I would agree. There is learnings there. But the thing about Mid Kerry is that they'll have to bring that little bit of, a bit of I won't say dirt, but a bit of evil, that kind of way. They're lovely footballers, and we know they're very good footballers. But to beat the likes of these Kerrys and even Dingle next day, they're like Dingle won't hold back from them. And they'll have to be expecting that. And I think if they get over this, if whoever get over this test Saturday night will be well equipped to face
Rathmore in the final.
Rathmore in the final, yeah. Well, you never know. If Rathmore can take a bit of a leaf out of the Spa book last year when East Kerry played them, there wasn't much between them, so you just never know. But I would fancy East Kerry on that. But I do think that the Dingle Mid Kerry game, whoever will come out of that will be a good test for any team going against whoever in the final.
John, the County Championship, it's getting a bit of flack with comms coming in saying it's comfortably the worst County Championship we've played in 25 years. A lot of people don't like the structure. It's not producing the best teams. The quarterfinals were a bit of a washout. No competitiveness. These are just all, I suppose if I read the 25 of them that we have, we'd fly through them. One interesting one here though, seeing that all the group winners won comfortably in the quarterfinal stages, should we just stop with the quarterfinals altogether and leave the group winners play directly in the semi-finals?
Not a bad idea. Yeah.
The 4 group winners were Rathmore, they're in the semi-final. East Kerry, Dingle, and Mid Kerry.
Yeah.
So,
and I suppose really out of the 4 teams, we could have said before the championship ever started, we definitely have 3.
Yeah.
So I think Rathmore are really the surprise package.
Because obviously you can't just take a poll straw and say that's this year. But if you go back to last year, when the quarterfinals were there, 4 teams came out as winners last year. Crokes won their group, but they got overturned by Dingle, so that kind of throws it out of the thing. But bearing in mind, Field Rangers won their group last year, and they beat Stacks in the quarterfinal, which was a big shock on the night. East Kerry obviously won their group, and Mid Kerry won their group. So technically speaking, out of the last 8 group winners in 2 years, 7 of the 8 got to the semi-final straight away as winners. And I suppose, to be fair, Dingle overturning Crokes probably isn't a big shock on that sense, really, and they won fairly comfortably as well. It would give you back a week, I presume, and it probably would make, I suppose, the teams playing for first and second, probably all the way to the end maybe as well. Probably wouldn't help with teams in third and fourth not knowing that they have any chance of getting into it, but it is quite an interesting one. Before we leave it there, your 2 for the final, Liam?
East Kerry, Dingle.
East Kerry and Dingle. I better write it down because you keep changing it.
Can't change it.
You keep changing it.
There's only 4 there, so I write 2.
Come back next week and have the other 2. John Kennedy?
I don't agree with him too often, Donal, but I'd be going with Dingle, East Kerry again.
Just on form, I think the 2 teams,
yeah.
So that'll give a bit of...
Did you get your coffee in Garveys? Did you?
That'll give a bit of burning now for the other 2 teams to go at the weekend.
Yeah, I'd love to see Meath Kerry in the final, obviously, and obviously I'd love to see Rathmore in the final. So I'll go against you, just for pure development. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, East Kerry, of course, massive favourites. Donal, Fiachra Clifford, remember, of course, his father, Teddy, the late Teddy, of course, won a Segerson with UCC. Plenty of talent there, absolutely. Who does the panel think will be relegated to Intermediate Championship based on what they saw with Kieran Rahilly's and the Gale? God, I'll give that one to you, Liam. You know about relegation, do you?
Just by looking at the 2 teams and looking at their players, I would think that Kieran Rahilly's will just sneak it.
Kieran Rahilly's will sneak it to survive.
To survive, yeah. I just think they just have a little bit firepower up front. I think they will.
I think the firepower up front. We said it earlier on that Nigel are struggling to get scores.
And with Tommaso Hannifin now, depending on when it's going to be played and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think they have, and Tommy Welch is going to be vital for them inside. You know, so I think they have that little bit more up front. Just shaded.
This time last year, Rahilly's were on their way to an All-Ireland semi-final, and 12 months later, with a bad result, they'll be on their way to Clarny Legion next year or somewhere like that. A man on the move, if you can believe everything you see or read in the newspapers. Peter Kane, a lot of comments on about Peter. They haven't forgot you and you, Peter, taking charge of Tipperary. What does the panel think? Is this a good move? Sure, all new managements are good moves.
It's an inter-county gig, and I suppose Tipperary are probably in a low A at the moment. They're in Division 4, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he can only make them better.
Is that going to be the soundbite for this show, is it?
No, I think just looking at the inter-county managers out there at the moment, Donal, I think fellas they're in the big bite for especially I heard in different counties that counties struggle to get managers, because there's so much pressure and there's so much time to be put into it. Like, I'm sure Peter has spent a lot of time over thinking about this because he's a businessman. His family are probably helping him out on that side of it. It's up the road, but he's like, I suppose he loves the GAA. He wants to put his head on the block again. So but fair play to him if he does.
John, there's a certain drug about it, isn't there? There's a certain I want to get back involved, and I suppose you look at it. I mean, Peter Kane has massive ability to bring to the game. I mean, like obviously with Kerry, he was within a touch of a ball from winning a senior All-Ireland in his first year. He won 3 minors. He's done great jobs with St Mary's and Beaufort and every other club that's in the Legion, the whole lot, and he's brought him to different levels and the whole lot. And I suppose there's a time that you want to get back involved, and I suppose people are around that circle saying, we could do with you. But it's still a big, brave call at the end of the day to make.
It's a huge call, but look, Peter Kane is a very astute manager, and he comes from a great footballing family. In fairness to him, he's done great work in Kerry, at club level as well. And there's a tremendous respect outside for Kerry people, at that level. I remember when I went to Clare, it's hard to believe when you're on the outside looking in, but when you're in the inside, the respect they have for Kerry football and for Kerry people. And I've no doubt if Peter does decide to go to Tipperary, he'll bring them to another level, because he's been at another level with Kerry. It's a good time to go into Tipperary, I think, because I think of the 4 other counties in Munster at present, I think Tipperary have the most talent.
Well, they're the most recent Munster champion winners outside of Kerry, obviously, which is huge. Quick question, 1 minute, both of you can give me a yes or no answer. Playing the 2 semi-finals on different days over the coming weekend is disgrace. Why don't they play the 2 games together in Killarney, Sunday, and charge €10? You might get a decent crowd then, and the final in Tralee in 2 weeks after. 2 semi-finals, Liam, 2 different days?
Yeah, look, I said at the start of the show, I thought double headers were the way to go, for crowds and stuff like that. No, I could see no reason why they couldn't go double header this weekend.
John?
Yeah, I'd be the same.
Just be aware now that your press pass could
Could be nullified.
I'd be the same. I'd like to see the 2 games, because rushing from Killarney to Tralee to see last Saturday and that. But speaking to people inside, it's a long day for 2 games. You know, for the neutral supporter. If it's cold, it's a long day and you're coming to the stage. But look, I think for convenience, a doubleheader is the way to go.
And that's from Damien in North Kerry, all of North Kerry. Listen, guys, thanks very much again this evening. Next week it'll be just semi-finals. God, I might well have nothing to talk about, really, to be fair. It'll be a nice quiet weekend, and of course the final then in 2 weeks. Very quickly, Ballymac, Listowel, of course, are coming up in the calendar, Liam.
That's right, going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be unusual from now to switch back to club after the districts, but yeah, I think that's going to be a fairly interesting. I know Ballymac, after a great year in Division 1 and stuff like that, but has this spell, and I think hampered teams, that were kind of on a roll. And now they take this break and try to get back into it again. So that's going to be a fairly even match now.
Fantastic, fair play. Listen, give us a call 0667 123 666 if you want to give us your views about rugby, and we'll talk about that after 7 o'clock.